and this is the podcast where we seek to demystify, develop, and celebrate our spiritual gifts all through a faith-based lens. Today, we have Leta Kaye back with us. Hi, Leta Kaye.
Hi guys.
Hey.
Leta Kaye has been working for several years now, developing a bunch of different intuitive practices and abilities. She's pretty skilled, and she's worked with Camille and I a bunch of times. We love her to death. Today, she's going to do a really cool demonstration for everyone. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you're going to gift us with today, Leta Kaye?
Oh, sure. We're going to expose Elle. That's what we're going to do today.
Okay.
That was a good pace. So today's plan is to talk about what is an aura reading, what does it look like, why would you do it, what are the benefits, and Elle has allowed me to look at her space, or she will be allowing me to look in her space and say what I see and share that information. And you
Yeah.
guys get to come along for the ride.
It's a great thing. I mean, we've done a couple of live sessions now, and vulnerability for the entire world is always terribly exciting.
And then there's the vulnerability hangover after the fact. You're like, what did I just put out there? What did I just do?
What have I
Everyone
said?
knows exactly what I am.
Oh, well, it's more of a picture of you at this particular moment.
Right.
So an aura reading is where the reader will look at the readie's space. We each have an energy field that surrounds our body that carries information, vibrations, and energy. And we call this the aura. And with training, you can learn to look at it and intuitively understand the colors or images that come up in that. And so when I look at you, Elle, it will be what's going on right now. If I were to take a picture of you today and compare it to a picture from last year or one from next year, it would probably still look like
I
you, but be a little
I
different.
actually have some just for example.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
This was
Oh,
me
that's cool.
as I was pregnant last year, right?
Very purple.
And this was me earlier this year in March. So side by side, we can
That's
see
cool, Elle.
the difference. Just like a physical representation. I have a third one somewhere, but I don't know where it is. Just to
Cool.
recap for some of our audience joining us, just the general basic of a little bit deeper about what the aura is. Aura is just a term that we use to describe the electromagnetic field that surrounds our body. It is very it's generated by all of the energy and the life essentially within us. Every living thing has this electromagnetic field, has this aura, right? Sometimes it's called a biofield, sometimes it's called an aura, sometimes it's called electromagnetic. It's just the energy that it's like an output of the systems in our body doing the work that they're going to do. And it is a reflection of all of those things happening. So we have organ systems, we have mental systems, we have emotional systems, and all these things. They're reflected into this field that we carry, or it's generated around all of us all the time. So it's not that woo-woo of a concept, though sometimes the word aura might seem to people like, it's weird. But it really is, it's a very scientific, we can measure the energy output by our body, right? It's actually a very scientifically recognized phenomenon that we all carry. And some people who happen to have particular sensitivity in their intuitive gifts can feel that energy about other people. So a lot of people will recognize this. We use the word aura, or like the vibe of a room or a person. That is us picking up on that aura, right? So if someone carries a vibe about them, it might be that you're picking up on their electromagnetic field. Or sometimes people can see colors, sometimes people can feel energy or vibration or like tickling sensation or something the closer you get to somebody. So it's something that a lot of people have different modes of interacting with, but people like Leta Kaye have developed this sense of being able to see and interact with it and interpret the information that lingers in that field as it's a reflection from all of these things going on within us on any given day. There we
That's
go.
a beautiful explanation. Thank you. I learn stuff when every time that I'm with you. Wow, it makes me so happy.
So it can be a pretty vulnerable process, like we said, because a lot of the things that are experienced by you, as well as some fundamental things that generally are who you are, core personality traits, struggles, emotions, like general states of being are things that are within this aura field. So Leta Kaye is going to pick up on all of those things, and she's going to kind of it's like a looking at yourself in a mirror that
Yeah.
tells you about you,
Mm,
right?
yeah. Well, and I think it's a particularly interesting time for you, Elle, because you guys are about to do like, there's some big changes coming for your family this summer. And so it's not like this is like a tranquil phase of life for you, right?
Oh yeah, we're like 2 weeks from impending doom.
I'll
Hackers
put
get
that on my
here in like
calendar.
2 weeks. Yeah.
So anyway, it's just interesting to see like, how that affects, your stress levels, the
Yeah.
chaos. I mean, are your kids out on summer break now?
Oh yeah. It's like rampant chaos in my house.
Okay. So I just wanted to prep the listener. Like there's some outstanding circumstances here.
Yes. Yes. So, Lita K, tell us about why it matters. Why would something like this be useful to someone?
Absolutely. Um, First, I'm going to take a little tangent. That's kind of how
Yes.
my brain goes.
I
You're
love
like, Leta K
tangents.
is going to pick up on all of that. What I look for is what is most salient. What is your spirit trying to show in order to get that reflection back? So, I mean, if we had a couple hours, we could look at all the things. What sometimes people come in for an aura reading and they worry, are you going to dig into my past? Are you going to see my dark secrets? How much of an exposure am I going to be subjected to?
Mhm.
And each of us just naturally have kind of a personal privacy screen. And I'm not going to be trying to break through that in any way. I'm looking for what is it that you want to show me? And that brings us to your question, which is why would you do this? Why would you let someone see what you're doing? Um, First off, I mean, when we go around in the world, people can see us. Like you've described, we interact with auras. So it's not like it's necessarily a giant secret. And the etiquette of it, generally speaking, from a psychic level, is if you see someone walk past, like you know what they're wearing, you may be aware of what color they are. When we sit specifically, we're looking more intently at what is it that's happening for you in your space that is pertinent for you to know about. Sometimes that point is where you are putting most of your energy. If you need to be aware that someone else's energy is having a great deal of influence in a particular space in your field or in your life connected. It's fun. I mean, fun is always good. The
I
most
think it
thing,
can
go ahead.
it can also be really validating because oftentimes, excuse me, oftentimes um it can reaffirm. I just at least in the past when I've done things like or interpretation or photography, for instance, it can reaffirm a lot of elements about yourself that you suspect or hope or I think people generally it's like taking a personality test. People
Yes.
generally like to hear about themselves. Like, oh, I'm this kind of person. Um, and it's like what does your aura tell you about your personality as well? Like what kind of things who are you, right? People like kind of affirmations like that. It can be encouraging, it can be uplifting, it can be motivating,
Exposing.
um, exposing. Yeah, of like areas that we need to work on and things like that
Mhm.
too.
Some of the other benefits, there's that beautiful connection, like you were saying, of being seen, of
Yes.
being recognized for who you are. I like to say that awareness brings choice.
Mm,
And when you have a better idea of what's there, you kind of automatically start to do it. So an aura
Mhm.
reading is different from an aura healing. If I were doing a healing with you, Elle, um, I would be sitting down and waving my hands around your space, moving energy.
Being
And
it.
I'm looking to, in that case, look for what changes you're longing for and help you facilitate that process. When I do a reading, there may be some healing involved, but the reading is about information, telling
Like
you
self-actualization.
what I see. And then once the readee receives that information, not only do they get the validation, but the spirit goes to work on it. Once you've drawn the attention to it, where attention goes, energy flows. And if you're like, oh, I didn't realize I was holding so much space for someone else or this project or whatever, in a very natural way, each readee starts to give themselves their own healing to clear their space once you become aware that it's in there.
Yeah. Like recognizing that you are tense or stressed about something you didn't realize you were tensed or stressed about, which is impacting your sleep and your frustration level and the way that you might be yelling at your children. Not personal experience or anything.
Yeah, very much. So why does the reader do it? What is the reader after or achieving or experiencing in this process? I think probably the main thing is, again, that personal spiritual information, self-knowledge, and the ability to do some clearing in our own space. Because as a reader, when I look at you and describe things, the pieces of myself that are resonant with that kind of light up. And I have a chance to recognize things in my space that I haven't maybe gone looking for. And I'm like, oh, I do have some orange energy right there. And I can clear my space because you're allowing me to see a bit of a mirror too.
And I've had that experience doing sessions with people where I'm like,
yeah, definitely.
Wow, this isn't just for you. I needed to hear this today too.
I think it's kind of like a reflection of Christ-like love, right? You are channeling in the best of worlds, the best of intention. You are channeling that charity or that love towards someone and seeing them, like you were saying. You're understanding them and who they are and the best parts of them and acknowledging that and the beauty that all of us have intrinsically as human beings.
So often we do it naturally without even knowing that's what we're doing. If you're visiting with someone else and you sense their heartache and you reach out with love to alleviate that in whatever way you can, that's a very similar thing. We're just doing it more formally in this circumstance.
All right, let's get started.
Okay, so what does it look like? The question, okay, what's going to happen? What am I supposed to do? For me, I invite the readee, so Elle, that's you today. Elle, I invite you to receive what resonates with you, what the spirit tells you is truth. You have all of that permission and space to receive this information in the way that feels correct. And if you're like, yeah, that's not even close, dismiss that part. So as a reader, like, be open. I like to invite the level of feedback that you are comfortable with. So if you want to just sit and receive and not say a word, that's totally fine. If you want to ask or comment at any point, you are totally welcome to do that. Camille is an observer and commentator. You are also, at least from my part. I hope Elle agrees with that. You're allowed to comment on her too.
Gently, I'm sensitive.
Gently. The other thing, Elle, is that I want to be sure that your energy stays in your space. So just kind of picture this picture of sucking your own aura in around you, because I'm reading Elle. And if we're too mixed in, then I'll be reading the blend of all of us.
We'll be reading Camille.
I'm gonna pull my energy into my own space. I'm not pushing anything out.
There you go.
I will, however, focus on, pushing.
Yeah, I'm striving to work here from a clairvoyant perspective, very much from the center of head with a neutrality. So I actually will turn down my lower chakras. Like, okay, I'm not looking with my feelings. Other readings you do, you're looking for all your clairs, but I'm not looking with my feelings. I'm not looking with my heart. I'm trying to be very, very neutral. And nothing that is said is in judgment. There's not a wrong or a right way to have an aura. So what I'm describing is simply what is. Mm-hmm. And if you have reactions to that, simply notice them. Like, oh, I don't particularly like that color. So my eyes will be closed for when I'm reading. I'll pop up here and there to explain the next step or where we're going. at the beginning and perhaps throughout the process, I will invite you to say your full name 3 times to help me connect.
I actually have a question by that because a lot of intuitive people will use the name identification because it kind of,
Mhm.
when you can identify yourself, it centers you and it anchors your own energy and helps it become, more specifically traceable to other people because you are you and you're centered in that and aware in that. And so other people can for sure like undelineatedly find who you are. But it's interesting when you mentioned specifically that however you self-identify, because I obviously my name is Melissa, but I go by Elle, right? And so
Mhm.
there's a bit of an argument to be had in like, okay, well, if you go by another name or like a nickname or something, is that actually your name, and will it change the outcome? And I have had people tell me like, no, it feels different when you say Elle versus when you say Melissa. It feels different, and they'll have me use one or the other. Have you seen that, or do you have an opinion on that?
Oh, for sure. Just a couple weeks ago, I was doing a reading with a lady who had been divorced for a couple of months. She was adjusting to a new phase in her life, and at the moment, legally, had kept her married name. And so, give me your full name. And she said it, and we could both kind of feel her energy cringe. She's like, "That's my
Mm,
name, but should I?" I don't know. And I was like, "Well, it's enough. It's enough to start with. You think about that. I've found you because a cringe is pretty recognizable." As I had her repeat further in, she used her maiden name, and her space just lit up with a glow. I'm sure if I was looking at her, her face would have lit up. There was
mhm,
a, this is my sense of self. And she, as we say, came into herself
mhm.
in a way that made the reading much more clear, but most importantly, gave her information. I don't know that she'd sat and, written out, or I don't know how much her thought process had been on it. She'd mentioned, I don't know what I'm going to,
Yeah,
by the end, she was like, no, I'm definitely going back to my maiden name.
it's
That's
like
me.
self-recognition. Yeah.
And that's the gift. That's what we're hoping for. All right. Should we give it a try? First, I'll look at you as a rose. It's a symbol that is often used to describe a person's energy. So I'll look for your rose, describe that, and then I will look through each of the 7 layers of the aura, and we'll describe those as we go. And I like to leave a space at the end for a request of yours, for
Okay.
something that you want me to look at the energy of. That's the part I forgot earlier. It is not my place to tell you what to do. That is so critical. And I think where a lot of the difficulties come, and people are like, well, why would you go to an aura reading and get a psychic? The psychic should never be making your decisions. That is incredibly unethical.
Right.
You get to make your choices. And if I can help you see what the energy looks like and that rings for you, then you have a better ability to make your choice, to exercise your agency, your gift of choosing, rather than giving it to someone else. All right, so I'm going to find my space. The overall color I'm getting for you today is a yellow green, very light. There's a sense of growth in that, um, and also a phenomenal amount of to-do list. It's a little bit
Makes
frantic
sense.
in this space. Um, all right, frantic is maybe too judgmental of a word.
No,
It's
it's entirely accurate.
there's just a lot happening just over in the overall color. So when I look at you as a rose, the center of the rose is white and it fades into that same yellow green around the petals. The rose has very large petals, confident. There's very much a sense at this point where you are drawing inward before an expansion. Usually, when I see someone's rose, it's coming outward, but yours has been outward and is drawing inward. It's very flexible. So this is like, okay, my inner work, home work. In this picture, the sun of your rose is straight up above it and shining very brightly. It's like the tips of the petals are really opening up toward the rose. you are very much connected to source, to your path, to knowing where you're going, you're stepping with certainty and divine guidance. In this picture, there's very much a connection there. In a full length reading, I would look down the stem of your rose for past life experiences, whether that was you as a guardian angel or however you view those.
Definitely go there.
Okay. We should definitely go there. Sweet.
While you're doing that, can I just kind of describe what I believe,
Yes,
just for the sake of
please.
clarity with our audience?
Yes.
The rose, in this sense, is a metaphorical interpretation of me in my entirety. So it's symbolic. So the different parts of those rows, the stem being how I'm anchored, how I'm grounded, how I'm connected down, or the time chronologically of my life, and the petals, the current experience that I'm having here, my like the interpretation or the symbol of my life as it stands right now in the present moment. It's just it's simple to interpret that we use because it's more easy to have an understanding of someone if you can boil it down to one object that can represent people in variance every time, right? So just if people are wondering why it's a rose, it's an image that has been picked to be representative of different aspects of a person that can be repeated every single time in every reading. Right?
Oh, fantastic. Yes, beautiful. I need you to follow me around and do the explanations on my screens. When I'm looking at your stem, there's a light blue one a little below the base of the stem, a light blue ring that lights up. There's a wide, bright yellow one about halfway down. That one's calling the most, so we're going to open that one first. Immediately, that yellow surrounds my vision, and the word work comes to the front, which kind of echoes on this before the picture is even coming into view. This feels pioneer times, crossing the plains, building the Wild West. In this image, you're wearing a long skirt, muddy along the edges, carrying ropes and bundles in your arms, and leaning forward with a very determined posture as you walk. There's something that you intend to accomplish, and it is going to be accomplished come hell or high water. And oh, can I say that word in front of your readings? The surrounding images are more blurry. There's family and others, but this one is really zoomed in on the intensity of the determination that you have in this moment.
So can we back out here and put this image into context?
Yep.
So what does this represent? Is this literal or is this more figurative and interpretive?
Yes. Let me close this for a second. I'll come out and talk about it with my eyes open so that I can look at you. So this is my interpretation of past life readings. Because the way that my theology works, we get one shot at being alive here on this planet. But we've been living in heaven and ministering to our loved ones for the entire existence of the earth. And so we have been with them in these difficult moments. I mean, think how we binge Netflix. You think we weren't like totally watching everything that was happening? So for someone who believes in the process of reincarnation, this would be me looking at you, your spirit, in another body, in another time. For me, I'm seeing it as when your spirit was guiding this particular person, very involved in their life. So the part that I'm looking at, the picture is literal, but the reason that it comes up is because it has figurative value. There's something that your spirit is trying to say, remember this lesson or fix this problem from a time in the past that has become particularly
Pertinent right now.
So literal and figurative.
Really
More
cool.
questions or thoughts on that? I don't know how you reconcile. I figure there are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. There are a
That's
lot of
my
things
favorite
I
Shakespeare
don't
quote.
know. So I don't know if that's something you want to go into or comment on, of how do you sort out past life belief experiences? Because from my experience in doing hundreds of readings and being read many times, these are real and true experiences. It is something that our soul has been through and remembers on some level and is important to our eternal progression. So, you're all just making it up. I used to think that before I started studying and experiencing, particularly when people are like, "Oh yeah, that life comes up a lot." Then the reader gets the validation.
Hmm.
So I don't know. Any comments or
Well,
Yeah,
questions
I
on that?
go ahead, Karina.
I think that I think it's relevant when I do readings and someone passes young or maybe unexpectedly, like, self-inflicted or murdered. Um, I've heard people tell me on the other side, like, I learn a lot from my loved ones who are still alive. Like, I'm specifically really following up with this one sister and seeing what she's up to. I'm learning a lot from her. There were things I was maybe supposed to learn that I didn't learn while I was here. So I'm like learning it through you. Um, so I think that we can do that as a spirit before we're born. We can be invested in somebody's journey, and their success is our success because we're part of their spirit team, right? We're helping them. We're part of their support team on the other side. So I think it can happen for people before they come and after they've been here, right? We can still learn by walking a mile in someone's shoes, so to speak, or supporting them while they walk a mile in their shoes.
Yeah. I have had a lot of experiences with spirits. So a lot of, in the work I do, I'm obviously dealing a lot with people that people love, right? We're separate spirits from you on the other side who are either waiting to come or have come and had a mortal sojourn on this earth. But sometimes we also come into not necessarily auric readings, but maybe soul aspects of your spirit and who your spirit identifies itself as kind of outside of the veil that we could say has been placed over our awareness. A lot of people will use the term higher self,
Mhm.
divine self, I like to say, maybe like that divine nature in you. Um, but I very strongly believe that we had not necessarily an agenda, but we are the culmination of all the experiences that our soul, which has been eternal, right? Um, has experienced before, now, and after. And all of those things have been very important into building who we are. And so I think definitely I would agree with you, Leta Kaye. I've had lots of experiences in sessions with other people and my own sacred experiences where I've witnessed things about myself that I experienced before coming here as well. So I have had a lot of witness from spirits on the other side about spirit teams, angel teams, guardian angels, helpers, spiritual helpers, ministering spirits, angels, and things that they do to help us on the other side before or after in different ways. And I think maybe that they have different responsibilities of different things that they're doing. But that is also the interpretation that I lean heavily into in with past lives. It's a memory. It's a memory for sure that we carry that that seems like something more distant because it was another life, it was another time, right? But it's still remembered in that divine nature, that divine self that we have, that we carry, that we don't necessarily have complete access to in the moment. But they were important moments, just as much as the moments we have here are, and the moments we will have next.
I think the thing that everybody would agree on is the truth that we continue. We have existed before. We continue. We will exist after this life, and
Yeah,
every
the
step
eternal
on that
soul.
journey is important.
Yeah.
Shall we see what you want to tell me psychically about
Let's
being
go into that.
yellow with a dress? All right. And I'm going to giggle a little bit. Levity, playfulness is always good. As I was looking at that image, in contrast to the amazing awareness that you have just described for us, you are about to trip over a giant rock.
Good.
um,
Humility is important too.
So in this past life, you're showing me now from a little bit of a perspective as it zooms out that you are so focused and so determined and headed forward, and you have all the things you need with you. And you're pointing out, actually, there's two specific rocks that are ahead in your path that you're not looking at or for. And so the picture's not showing me if you did, in fact, fall on them at that point, because at this point, the message has become very clear, which is look all the way around in your single-minded direction right now, where you truly are focused on what you need to do. Your soul message is to take a moment and evaluate what you may not be seeing that might cause difficulty in your progress. How does that resonate with you?
I mean, I am an intense personality. That totally resonates because I can get exceptionally willfully focused. So I would say there is probably a little bit of self-awareness that has been a growth that's happened there, but I still am someone who is very driven and very intensely focused on my purposes. And it's a theme in my life to like back up and be like, hey, pay attention. So I can totally see it, which it suits right now. I feel that tug of remembrance, I guess, to pay attention to the surrounding things. Um, that still matter, that are still important aside from the, impending driving main focus.
Let's see. I'm going to come back in my trance space. That little blue one is still glowing. Do you want to look into that blue past life ring?
Sure.
This one is about loss. The image that I'm seeing is a little boy in his crib, a little baby who has a very short time in mortality. You're outside, you're looking at the child in the crib. Over the top of the whole picture are rays of sunshine, like when they come through a cloud, shining with those diagonal lines and not in any way diminishing the grief, but lightening it. There's a very solid sense of foundation here, of purpose and trust above and around the grief. That does not signify death in your present life in any way. This is about trusting through grief. I know that's something you talk about a lot because of the work that you do with people who have passed on. The sense here is that it's important to take the time to mourn the losses that this transition will necessitate. For all that you're looking forward, there are things that will be left behind. And to take a moment to feel both the loss and the overarching love that comes in that space.
This is really interesting, having just like the combination of the two gifts as they function side by side here. When you say that, as kind of in this past life regression sense of like interactions that I, as my spirit self, had in a prior space and time, um, interestingly enough, I get a very strong connection through my own gifts of my grandmother coming in. Very strong. And I sit here in this moment as you say something feels familiar about it as you're speaking through this experience. And I'm leaning into that moment and I have this amazing sense of self-realization where I feel myself experiencing grief as a ministering angel for my grandmother, who was I was always very close to in this life. And she lost a child. It was her youngest baby. She lost him in birth. He was actually a stillborn. And it was a very tragic experience that probably never should have happened. There was an issue with the doctor that caused the passing of this healthy child up until that point. And it was a pivotal moment of trial in her life. And I had this confirmation feeling from her that that I was with her in that time through that trial of grief and loss. And she's a very spiritual person, a very religious person. Throughout my childhood with her, she was one of my anchors, my spiritual anchors, I think, within my own faith background. And I had this kind of moment of remembrance realization born through her to me in this moment right now, that I had been there as a spirit child, grandchild in the future of her, ministering to her to help her through these times of grief and understanding and connection, and to as a support for her on the other side spiritually as she experienced loss. And so that is particularly moving to me because I have had specific experiences with my own infant right now where I know I have had her save this baby's life more than one time. And that has been borne witness to me that she is now on my side, helping me from the other side to watch over this baby and be a support on my team, which is something that I do experience quite often. It's comes kind of like a role reversal, where someone who is close to you in life switches places with you and ministers to you before or after. I know Camille has probably had the same experience. It's not uncommon. But that was a beautiful experience that I just had through that memory of me being that support and that witness of my grandmother in that time to help in that dark place, and her with me now as an angel support member on my team, helping me specifically with the trials and the moments with my own baby, because that is a fear that's been probably passed down and carried forward. I mean, every mother has that for their infants, but particularly there have been a couple of scary moments where she has come to me afterward and validated that I was there. I was the one who saved or helped or um, was your guardian angel in that moment. So that was
And
beautiful.
that's
Thank you.
really beautiful. And as you shared that, I felt that same witness, that certainty that yes, she's absolutely been with you. And I love the fullness of God's plan. There's so much more than this moment that we can see, and we're so interconnected. Oh,
Yes,
thank you for sharing that.
that was beautiful.
So I will turn from the rose reading and we'll take a look just briefly through each of the layers of your aura, kind of get a present time read on where you're at and what's going on in your space. So the first layer is the layer that is closest to your body. It's related to the energy center that works with being safe and secure, body spirit connection, tangible things like shelter, food, these kinds of elements. So what I'm looking at when I look at the layer, the energy center itself is where everything is happening. And so it's like a soup pot. The soup is in the pot, but the smell of the soup goes throughout the house. So what I'm looking at in the aura is the manifestations of what's been happening in that energy center. That's the root chakra near the base of the spine. So, right. The closest layer to you in your aura, this first layer is appearing to me as a brick red around the edges of the layer and really bright red around your body, particularly bright around your hips. There's a lot of activity in this space. There's a lot that's already been established. That brick red is showing me that you've got a lot of routines in place, a lot of security. So this will be the chakra that this is associated with is the sacral chakra. And this layer is associated with emotion, feeling others' energy, with creation. Let's see where this one shows up as. This one is a fiery yellow, a very bright shade with orange at the base. I'm not seeing it so much around you as I am like a candle flame in front of me. Another space with a lot going on. There's clarity in it though. So often we are carrying scars in this space. And in present time, what's actively going on around you is just busy. I see here too your power of creation, your flame of purpose, determination, very strong. very soothing. It's a directed and controlled kind of fire. And there's a gentleness and a power in it that you think makes me feel like whatever you set to accomplish will be done in the efficient and kindest way possible.
Most of the time. The goal.
Well, yeah, this is mortality. It's difficult here. So the third layer is associated with the solar plexus chakra. This layer has to do with your will, your drive, your direction, how you spread your energy, what you're up to day to day, what's happening. I'm seeing like floating checklists. They're like spreadsheets everywhere.
There really are sticky notes.
So the fourth layer of the aura is related to the heart chakra, to our ability to, we call it affinity, to be at one with ourself and our others. All the things that we associate with heart tend to show up in this layer. There's such a dichotomy here, Elle, in how truly, genuinely open you are to others, and also how deeply private of a person that you are. The things that are happening for you inside your heart are held close, and they're very much, I guess the word I would say is protected at a psychic level. It's not aggressive, just very clearly I'm seeing it as a sphere, a very
Boundaries.
solid sphere that's like, no, in here, this is mine.
Right. Got strong boundaries.
You really do. Kind of looks like a croquet ball. And the outside has that deep green. There's empathy and energy of empathy in this space. We're going to close the fourth layer. We'll look at the fifth layer. This layer of the aura is related to your communication space. This comes up as little blue, sticks is the wrong word, like a chart, a bar graph. Only each bar is three-dimensional, and each bar is very measured. It's precise. Your communication, this is a skill that you have developed with a great deal of attention to. And you've showing me that you've put a lot of work into what you don't say, not just on a verbal level, but on a conscious level of the subconscious conveyance. Because you know that you feel things deeply, and that quickness in you can be biting. And so you're showing me that you very deliberately set up a space for yourself where you have a second to wait. And when you speak, the only part that is conveyed is the word and the part that you intend to protect and hold back. That's such a high level of awareness.
That makes total sense. I used to have quite a temper, and I have put a lot of energy and understanding into temperance. And I believe it's a really powerful and essential tool in communication. So that makes a lot of sense. And communication has been and is a focus of mine. I think it's probably the key to human relationship. So
The sixth layer has to do with your vision. It's connected with the third eye chakra, and it's what you're looking for, what you're looking at. In contrast to where I could see clear boundaries in your heart space, this space feels boundless. You are willing and able to look all the way around and see what you see. With a neutrality that allows you to be granted more view than most of us are willing to look at. The seventh layer is the outer layer of your aura. This is connected to the crown chakra. So it's connected to the sense of divinity, otherworldness, intuition, knowingness. The seventh layer also has this interesting dual purpose, which is that it is what we are willing to show to the world. It's it's the edge of us. It's how we convey ourselves is reflected in this area of the aura. Your spiritual space is very well defined. Like when you look at someone who's an athlete, you know they're an athlete by the shape that they're in. That's what I'm seeing here on a spiritual level. Your connection with spirit world is so much a part of what you do that it is in a very literal way part of who you are. And I'm trying to see if there's a color. I would have to say something like clear, which again, Elle, I've never seen. This is the seventh layer of a channel. You allow what's inside to pass out, what is coming from above to come in and through. So often I see elements of ego or self-preservation or wanting to be liked, these kinds of things, because we all carry all the emotions.
Yeah.
But yours is very much not a not caring, but a conscious willingness to let what is through in both directions. Right? And that is layer 7. So we've looked through, like, all right, here's the layers of you. This is a present time picture. So, next time that someone looks at your aura, some of the themes may be the same. The actual colors or images will be different, probably. I just feel so grateful, Elle. Thank you for letting me know you a little better. Thank you for letting me observe your space and kind of see how you tick and work with my own things that resonate with that.
Yeah. Thank
You're a
you for
beautiful
taking
soul.
the time. Thank you for taking the time to see. Thank you, Leta Kaye. I hope that this was instructional to our audience, that they can see kind of the benefits of this kind of intuitive practice and how we can use it to build each other. And one of my favorite parts of this is that it gets us outside of ourselves. When we can really learn intricacies of other people, we begin to see other people more than we see ourselves. That ego begins to turn outward, and we begin to appreciate and love from a deeper place and a deeper level. I love it. Intuitive gifts, I think, offer an insight that is the insight of God, right? He sees all of us on this level of soul. He sees all of us on this level of intricate worth and value. And this is just a small window into the way that God sees each of us. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Thank you for sharing the podcast with your friends, with your family. If you would like to find Camille and I, our website is throughtheveilepodcast.com. You can find bios and individual websites for both Camille and I there. Of course, the Facebook community, which is Through the Veil podcast community, is available and open to everyone. Come join us. Come create a community where we can build interest in these kinds of spiritual gifts and growth and development for each of us as we sojourn along this mortal journey. Catch us next time. We will be probably taking a couple breaks over the summer as I will be shifting across the globe. But please like and share, subscribe. If you click the bell, you'll know when we release a new episode, and we'll catch you around. Thanks, everybody.